Hey everybody, it's Chuck Johnson. It is 4:20 on 4/21, April 21st, 2016. Tomorrow, Friday, is my half birthday. I will be 27 and a half. I know, crazy. Don't I look so young? I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. What does it mean to age? What should one do with one's life? These are all like real big questions. And I've been thinking about them a lot. What is the courageous thing to do? What are the best uses of my talents? I guess we all have these kind of conversations with ourselves, at least those of us that are on some measure ambitious. And one of the things that a lot of people have suggested to me, given as I live in the Central Valley, is that I should run for Congress. Yes, you're hearing that correctly. I'll go to my local grocery store. Someone will come up to me and they'll be like, "Hey man, I really liked X, Y, or Z you did." And I live in a very Republican part of the state of California, such as there are, few that there are. And I'll have people come up and want to shake my hand, they'll want a selfie, whatever. Get invited to all the local Republican shindigs, whatever. I don't typically go to them. Maybe I should start. But the reason I mention it is Paul Ryan. Not a very good segue, but there you have it. Paul Ryan was elected to Congress when he was 28 years old. Now, Paul Ryan's birthday is January 29th. He came in, let's see here. He was born, so he came in when he was 28 years old. That was when he became, so he was running when he was 27, so he was running when he was my age. He ran for Congress, which is pretty strange. He became the second youngest member of the House of Representatives. So this is a guy who, he's now 46 years old, and he has been in Congress since he was 28 years old. So apparently it says here that he started in 1999 and he was born in 1970. So he would have been like 29 when he assumed office. But anyway, so he's been there a long ass time. And I find that really kind of disgusting and disturbing. And he is basically, he's a creature of Washington. He has spent most of his adult life living in DC. And living, of course he goes home on the weekends and all the rest of it, but this is his life. This is how it goes. He's reading, he's introduced to National Review at a young age. He's introduced to Friedrich Hayek and Ludwig von Mises and Milton Friedman and all the name checking that you can do of heroes of the libertarian movement of the 1980s, 1990s. He read them all. He studied Jack Kemp, the typical libertarian type, libertarian conservative establishment type. And he was a speechwriter when he was really young. When he was, he was a speechwriter when he was 22 years old, which was for a conservative advocacy group founded by Jack Kemp, Jeane Kirkpatrick, and William Bennett. So these are people who've just been around for forever, were around for forever, and who were more or less, part of the establishment. And he became a legislative director for U.S. Senator Sam Brownback, where he worked on amnesty issues with his friend Cesar Conda. And this is his background. He worked for 1 year. This is the sum total of his private sector experience. Not working in D.C., was working as a marketing consultant for a construction company, Ryan Incorporated Central, which was owned by his relatives. So, this is a guy who, he hasn't had real jobs. Now, of course, he says, "Oh, I was a waiter when I was a Capitol Hill guy." Well, come on. Everyone's had like some shit job, some shit summer job or whatever. Or at least they used to before the illegals came in and took them. And so this is Paul Ryan. And Paul Ryan is, he's become Speaker of the House. And he's become Speaker of the House in large measure because of me. Now, you won't read that in the newspapers, and I guarantee you, though, it's true, although certain publications did pick it up. And he's become Speaker because of me, because I stopped Kevin McCarthy from becoming Speaker by doing everything I could to expose an illicit affair that he had had with Renee Elmers and changed the course of American history. Did I get anything for it? No. Did I get thank you? No. What happened was various neocon advisors took advantage of the situation, used their political clout, and suddenly Paul Ryan went from being head of House Ways and Means, which is taxation arm, to becoming all of a sudden Speaker of the House at 46 years old. And it's a very early speakership in his life, and he's now Speaker. And so what I find interesting about this is, what does he choose to do with his speakership? And we're told all the time by his advisors like Dan Senior, who is basically a consigliere for Paul Singer, who's a hedge fund billionaire out of New York, one of the largest funders of a lot of the conservative movement. We're told a lot of the times that that Ryan, how do I put this? We're told a lot of the times that Paul Ryan is this great genius. He's this boy wonder. He's all this stuff. He's a young gun. And yet, he's kind of a loser, isn't he? I mean, he lost that debate to Joe Biden a while back. He hasn't really put his name on any meaningful pieces of legislation besides something to basically take away Medicare from people. And he's famous for working out all the time. He's famous for being a fisherman and a bow hunter, and he's famous for being liking the Green Bay Packers, and he got the Statesmanship Award from the Claremont Institute and the Alexander Hamilton Award from Manhattan Institute for Policy Research, both places, by the way, funded almost entirely by Paul Singer. He's gotten some stuff from Americans for Prosperity. I mean, he's basically a lifelong think tank guy. And people who grow up in the think tank world, they lose touch with the voters. They lose touch with everyday people. And that's what's happened with Paul Ryan. I mean, he is great. Ryan worked for 1 year for an earth-moving company, which was founded by his great-grandfather, Patrick William Ryan. So he's never really had a real job. He attended the Washington semester at American University. He's worked summers for Oscar Mayer and got to drive the Wienermobile. I mean, so he's trying to signal that he's one of us. But is he? Well, what does Paul Ryan choose to do with this opportunity that I've afforded him by exposing, Kevin McCarthy and Renee Elmers and stopping him from becoming Speaker of the House? What does he choose to do? First order of business is doing exactly what the billionaires wanted. And so for all this talk about how great all this anti-poverty stuff is that Ryan's interested in, for all this talk and signaling about everything he's going to do, blah, 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 noise, 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 what does he choose to do? His first order of business is to bail out Puerto Rico. And, we had got news, me generally, Chuck Johnson, we're interested in the truth. That's what we're about. And the truth is that blacks, and Hispanics, low IQ Hispanics, are just not as intelligent as whites. Now, I didn't make those rules. I don't wish them to be true. Basically the pecking order, as I understand it, is Jews, Northeast Asians, Northern European whites, and so on and so forth. And that, basically a big reason Puerto Rico's a basket case nation is because its people are not that smart. You could read some Steve Saylor on this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on it. I think he has an essay. I want to say it's called the amazingly horrible test scores of students in Puerto Rico, and he's got another one called Why Puerto Rico Rules America Instead of Vice Versa. And it's more or less about how these countries, basically how the whole conservative movement wants to be seen as liking Puerto Ricans so much, and oh my God, we can do it. And Puerto Rico is basically, it's a fucked up place. Several years ago, my parents and brother and sister wanted to go to Puerto Rico for a vacation. I ultimately decided I wasn't going to do it. I'm not interested. It was frankly going to be a lot of money to travel all the way to Puerto Rico. If I was going to go and hang out in a third world hellhole, I'd go outside and hang out in California. Could do that a bit more cheaply. And, my wife was more or less of the view that that wasn't interesting to her. And so we didn't do it. But Puerto Rico is, it's high crime, high welfare rates, low test scores. And this is a place that's more or less pretty fucked up. And it's not going to get unfucked up if you cut corporate taxes, or you cut the minimum wage, or you cut government spending, or all those things that that various organizations are promising. It's going to be consistently fucked up for a long ass time, because it's a fucked up place with fucked up people. And there's a reason that a lot of them are running away to the United States. And it's because it's so fucked up. Now, that's a technical term, fucked up. I'm not trying to besmirch them. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I'm not trying to, whatever. But, this matters. How fucked up these things are matters to you. It matters to the future of the Republic. And it matters because first order of business for Paul Ryan is to go push a bailout for Puerto Rico. And why is he doing that? Well, he's doing it because one of his friends, his mentor, conservative mentor, is a guy by the name of Cesar Conda. And Cesar Conda may sound like a name that you know. Cesar Conda was, until recently, until 2014 or so, and up until this election, he was actually working for Marco Rubio's super PAC. And Cesar Conda is a lobbyist. One of the groups he lobbies for is to make Puerto Rico our 51st state. Don't tell the neocons, because I think they've already decided that Israel's the 51st state. But nonetheless, that's the play. And Paul Ryan is a very good friend of Cesar Conda. They worked together back in the day to defeat an immigration bill that would have restricted immigration coming into the United States. That's what they did. You can go and read the Nexus scores. You can read the article I put up. And it's iced tea, by the way. It's pretty good. That's the environment we have here. That's what's going on. And it kind of sucks in a way, because that's the environment we're in. And Paul Ryan is working to push this bullshit narrative that what we should do is we should bail out Puerto Rico. And the reason we should do it is that we can change them by giving them free markets and by making them better off. And of course, it's something that National Review has picked up on. No coincidence there, of course, even though all the talking points and everything is right on cue, right on the same page. And I highly recommend reading the piece. The Puerto Rico debt bill is a good start. And it goes through, it basically says that what we're going to do is we're going to allow Puerto Rico to declare bankruptcy, even though the prescient senator of our time, one of the smartest senators of our time, Strom Thurmond, went, and I know you're not used to hearing that, but by the way, research Strom Thurmond. He's a very impressive man. He wanted to deny Hawaii statehood because he said it would create all these problems. He was right. Hawaii's created all these problems, including giving us presidency of Barack Obama. By the way, I maintain that he was born to U.S. parents. Parents were Frank Marshall Davis and his mother, and I do believe he was born in Hawaii. But if it had been a U.S. territory, maybe we could have figured out a way to get out of it. Or maybe if the communists had been successful, and Obama's father, Frank Marshall Davis, had been successful about removing the Hawaiian government on behalf of the Soviets and depriving the U.S. of a blue water navy, maybe things would have been different. I don't know. Just a thought. So Paul Ryan is Speaker of the House. He's friends with Cesar Conda. Cesar Conda's pushing certain bullshit, and here we are once again in a position where, here we are once again, and we're in this position where Paul Ryan is once again screwing us on behalf of his billionaire associates. Now, John Paulson, I mean, to give you some sense, like, so Puerto Rico was promised, they basically said, hey, all you rich people, all you rich white people, all you rich Jews, all you rich, come to Puerto Rico, we won't tax you anything, or we'll tax you a lot less, and come here, invest here, we'll make the country, we'll make Puerto Rico great again. Okay, so what happened? They did it. A lot of rich people moved there, including Toby Neugebauer, who is given $10 million to the Ted Cruz super PAC, or at least he claims he has. It's unclear if he actually has or not. And they all moved to Puerto Rico. John Paulson, big time Mitt Romney donor, mega donor, gave like $1 million, hedge fund guy out of New York. Pushes, everyone says everyone should move to Puerto Rico, except he doesn't move there. And he says, of course, Puerto Rico is going to be the Singapore. It's going to be the Singapore of the Caribbean. Okay. How's that working out for us? Where are the Chinese people that are going to make it to Singapore? And of course, National Review wrote another piece saying it could be the Liechtenstein for Latin America by being a tax haven. Okay, well, where are all your Germans? Oh, of course, they're not anywhere there. It's just kind of a joke. The whole thing is kind of a joke. And so, anyways, what ends up happening there? Paul Ryan is pushing this story. He's pushing this. And here we go again. Here we go again. And we wonder why these things happen, why they happen so often, why we get screwed over and over and over again. And the answer is because people in DC have never had a real job. They've never had a real serious job. And this is where we are right now. We're dealing with people who've never had a serious job in their lives, trying to tell us how to live our lives and trying to set up financial relationships. I think we should cut Puerto Rico loose. I think if we could figure out a way to get rid of some of the states in the U.S. that have become so fucked up too, we should get rid of those too. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to allow Puerto Rico to declare bankruptcy because that's what Obama wants and that's what the Republican Congress want. And we're going to allow them to declare bankruptcy. And then, of course, after they become bankrupt, we're going to have to bail out all the other states too. We're going to have to bail out Illinois and California. And it's just going to be a great wealth transfer from the productive to the least productive. It's going to be a sort of like, Paul Ryan claims he's a huge fan of Ayn Rand. It's going to be a sort of Ayn Rand dystopia where the productives, the looters, take away the money from the productive class. And that's what's happening in Puerto Rico. And so, of course, Paul Ryan is a fraud, claims to be a Ayn Rand fan. He's not. And he's going to be pushing this shit. And we can do something about it. We can start exposing all the relationships that Paul Ryan has. And so I'm going to be doing some research on Paul Ryan. It's editor at gotnews.com. It's gotnews.com/donate if you want to donate to it. Or you want to do both. I mean, fuck it. Let's do both. Let's go after and let's start exposing the truth about Paul Ryan, about a lot of the relationships here. And I think it's time we did it. I think it's time we made it clear, what's really going on. And National Review, which doesn't disclose that its donors really have put a lot of money into Puerto Rico, is calling for a bailout. Yet another time when National Review sells us out. Can anyone remember when they were supposed to be a conservative publication? I mean, I can't. It seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? It seems like a very long time ago. But what do I know? This is Chuck Johnson. I'm signing out. Let's not bail out Puerto Rico. Doesn't seem like a good idea to me. And let's chat soon. Remember, editor at gotnews.com. Take care, guys.